There's a lot of new developments going on with the Bloodline, so we'll see everything that's new there. We'll also check out some related topics involving John Cena, AJ Styles, and more. Let's start things off with the latest surrounding Jimmy Uso. It's been a rough few weeks back for Jimmy. He of course made his big return at SummerSlam by costing his brother Jay the undisputed Universal title. Jimmy's defense was that he felt like Jay winning the world title would corrupt Jay into becoming what they both despised the most: another new version of Roman Reigns. But Jay wasn't really buying Jimmy's reasoning and thought that Jimmy made that decision strictly out of jealousy. So the brothers went their separate ways, but Jimmy's world appears to be the one that's been completely flipped upside down, and he's a bit lost right now. He thought that Jay would understand his reasoning and that they'd be united again, but Jay left him and Jimmy wasn't really ready for that. So with Jay fully leaving for Raw, it looks like Jimmy has slowly began backstepping on his previous standings for when it comes to the Bloodline. Even the week after Jay had quit WWE, Jimmy was still fully against taking any orders from Solo, Paul Heyman, and Roman Reigns. But in the weeks after that moment happened, Jimmy appears to want back into the Bloodline and is willing to listen to orders from Roman Reigns once again. Jimmy has even been wearing the old Bloodline shirt here and there as a way to indicate that he's committed again to the family. A lot of fans have an issue with Jimmy wanting to strongly be a part of the Bloodline again because that move from his character just seems so illogical and makes the past few months of the Bloodline civil war seem so meaningless now looking back. The only way Jimmy was going back to the Bloodline would make sense and get a pass is if Jimmy had some secretive plan or alternate agenda that he's working on that requires him once again to get close to Roman and the Bloodline. If that's the case, and if that's what they're cooking up, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with that, and it could work. But if the story is that Jimmy had second thoughts and wants to rejoin Roman for no real reason after going through the entire Civil War, then yeah, that does appear to be a weak story on the surface. So that's why fans are just trying to be patient and let the story unfold and play out to see where they're going with it, because it doesn't make that much sense in this current moment of time. Although Jimmy's character no longer appears to have any memory of the Bloodline Civil War and how he left the Bloodline under his own choosing, Solo Sikoa appears to still remember all of the events over the last few months. That's why when Jimmy has tried to warm up to Solo over the last few weeks, Solo will try to grab Jimmy and treat him in a very hostile manner, because Solo's recalling everything Jimmy has done to him over the last few months. Of course, the major missing piece of this story here is Roman Reigns himself. They're trying to keep things progressing with Solo, Jimmy, and Heyman, but clearly the story is severely missing Roman, and it would greatly benefit from his presence. So once Roman is back, maybe the flow of the story will be much better. The big conflict right now appears to be that Jimmy Uso wants back into the Bloodline, while Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa aren't too sure what to do, because they're of course waiting on Roman's orders. Last time Roman and Jimmy were in the ring with each other was SmackDown after SummerSlam. Roman appeared to be very appreciative of Jimmy's actions from SummerSlam and was willing to give Jimmy a spot back in the family and whatever else he wanted. But at that time, Jimmy was very dismissive and didn't want to accept that offer from Roman. Obviously now, a few weeks later, it looks like Jimmy does want that offer after all. So we'll have to wait until Roman is back to see how he'll handle Jimmy's sudden change of heart. Will Roman have that offer that Jimmy had back then on the SmackDown after SummerSlam? Will it still be on the table, or has Roman pulled that offer? We'll obviously won't know the answer to that question until Roman and Jimmy meet again on SmackDown. And in other Bloodline-related matters, it also appears that Solo Sikoa is losing patience dealing with Roman Reigns. Even during the build-up to Roman versus Jay at SummerSlam, there were several moments where it seemed like Solo was seriously questioning Roman's leadership abilities and growing a bit frustrated with how Roman was handling things. But despite his potential displeasures with Roman, Solo still never made a move on Roman, However, Solo's starting to come out of his shell more and is starting to make a lot more decisions on his own. He no longer listens to orders with no questions at all. If he doesn't like something, he'll voice his own opinion and go against Paul Heyman's words of advice, such as the current situation and dilemma with Jimmy Uso. Paul Heyman told Solo that they should wait until they receive orders from Roman Reigns, but Solo didn't listen and said that he was going to take care of things on his own right away. So, to see Solo lashing out like this is pretty interesting. Is Solo getting frustrated and losing patience with Roman Reigns because Roman is never really around anymore? Roman is still on a part-time schedule, but maybe Roman's limited schedule could be factored into the storyline, with Solo getting frustrated because Roman is never around when they need him to be. That could be something that they factor into Solo's recent behavior. There's just so much happening and so much business to take care of, but Roman is nowhere to be found, and Heyman and Solo are just sitting around waiting for him to come back. Maybe that's what has Solo acting out like this. The Bloodline also appears to have a new issue developing with LA Knight. Following LA Knight's win on SmackDown, he said that he's coming for the gold, and name-dropped every single active champion in WWE, before ending it off by name-dropping Roman Reigns. WWE then cut to Solo Sikoa saying that they have to get rid of his new LA Knight issue, but Heyman once again advised against it and said to wait for Roman. And all at the same time, AJ Styles has now also been slowly brought into the Bloodline story. After Jimmy Uso disrespected Mia Yim, AJ Styles and Jimmy have been getting into it non-stop on SmackDown every week. AJ Styles defeated Jimmy a few years back, and then Jimmy cost AJ Styles his match on SmackDown. So something is most definitely brewing up there between AJ and Jimmy. And John Cena also appears to be coming back into the Bloodline story as well. John Cena's first night back on SmackDown saw him getting interrupted by Jimmy Uso, and in the weeks following that return, we've seen John Cena himself face-to-face with both Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa on multiple occasions. So a big fan theory and idea is that we'll see old rivals John Cena and AJ Styles team up to take on Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso, who aren't really on the same exact page right now, at WWE Fastlane. If WWE does decide to do that match, and if that's what they're leading towards, then it really could be a massive match for many reasons. It'll put John Cena on a WWE Premium Live Event card in a limited role, since it would be a tag team match, and it'll also obviously advance whatever is going on with the story of Jimmy Uso trying to work back into the Bloodline. As far as things go with Roman Reigns, the nearest date of his next rumored appearance is the October 27th edition of SmackDown. So if that turns out to be his next SmackDown appearance, that'll mean that Jimmy and Solo's story will have to continue for at least 5 more weeks without Roman. Roman is expected to defend his title at November's Crown Jewel event, and he's also expected to take part in Survivor Series as well. The names of Roman's opponents for these events are still unknown, but given how close he's coming to their story, AJ Styles is very high on the list of possible new challengers for Roman Reigns. Roman has never defended his title against AJ Styles during this current title reign, so it could make for an interesting matchup if they do decide to go have that matchup take place at Crown Jewel. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.